I'm going to be reading from Aristotle's Nicomachean Ethics, Book 8. Section 1. After what we have said, a discussion of friendship would naturally follow, since it is a virtue or implies virtue, and is besides most necessary with a view to living. For without friends, no one would choose to live, though he had all other goods. Even rich men and those in possession of office and of dominating power are thought to need friends most of all. For what is the use of such prosperity without the opportunity of beneficence, which is exercised chiefly and in its most laudable form towards friends? Or how can prosperity be guarded and preserved without friends? The greater it is, the more exposed it is to risk. And in poverty and in other misfortunes, men think friends are the only refuge. Again, parent seems by nature to feel it for offspring, and offspring for parent, not only among men, but among birds and among most animals. It is felt mutually by members of the same race, and especially by men, whence we praise lovers of their fellow men. Friendship seems, too, to hold states together, and when men are friends, they have no need of justice, while when they are just, they need friendship as well, and the truest form of justice is thought to be a friendly quality. Section 2. The kinds of friendship may perhaps be cleared up if we first come to know the object of love. For not everything seems to be loved, but only the lovable, and this is good, pleasant, or useful. But it would seem to be that by which some good or pleasure is produced that is useful, so that it is the good and the useful that are lovable as ends. Do men love then the good, or what is good for them? These sometimes clash. So too with regard to the pleasant. Now it is thought that each loves what is good for himself, and that the good is without qualification lovable, and what is good for each man is lovable for him. But each man loves not what is good for him, but what seems good. This, however, will make no difference. We shall just have to say that this is that which seems lovable. Now, there are 3 grounds on which people love. Of the love of lifeless objects, we do not use the word friendship, for it is not mutual love, nor is there a wishing of good to it. But to a friend we say we ought to wish what is good for his sake. But to those who thus wish good, we ascribe only goodwill, if the wish is not reciprocated. Goodwill, when it is reciprocal, being friendship. Or must we add when it is recognized? For how could one call them friends when they do not know their mutual feelings? To be friends, then, they must be mutually recognized as bearing goodwill and wishing well to each other. Section 3. Now these reasons differ from each other in kind, so therefore do the corresponding forms of love and friendship. There are therefore 3 kinds of friendship, equal in number to the things that are lovable: utility, pleasure, and virtue. For with respect to each, there is a mutual and recognized love, and those who love each other wish well to each other in that respect in which they love one another. Now those who love each other for their utility do not love each other for themselves, but in virtue of some good which they get from each other. So too with those who love for the sake of pleasure. It is not for their character that men love ready-witted people, but because they find them pleasant. Therefore those who love for the sake of utility love for the sake of what is good for themselves, and those who love for the sake of pleasure do so for the sake of what is pleasant to themselves, and not in so far as the other is the person loved, but in so far as he is useful or pleasant. And thus, these friendships are only incidental. For it is not as being the man he is that the loved person is loved, but as providing some good or pleasure. Such friendships, then, are easily dissolved, if the parties do not remain like themselves. For if the one party is no longer pleasant or useful, the other ceases to love him. Now, the useful is not permanent, but is always changing. Thus, when the motive of friendship is done away, the friendship is dissolved, inasmuch as it existed only for the ends in question. This kind of friendship seems to exist chiefly between old people, for at that age people pursue not the pleasant, but the useful, and of those who are in their prime or young, between those who pursue utility. And such people do not live much with each other either, for sometimes they do not even find each other pleasant. Therefore, they do not need such companionship unless they are useful to each other. For they are pleasant to each other only in as far as they rouse in each other hopes of something good to come. Among such friendships, people also class the friendship of a host and a guest. On the other hand, the friendship of young people seems to aim at pleasure, for they live under the guidance of emotion, and pursue above all what is pleasant to themselves and what is immediately before them. But with increasing age, their pleasures become different. This is why they quickly become friends and quickly cease to be so. Their friendship changes with the object that is found pleasant, and such pleasure alters quickly. Young people are amorous too, for the greater part of the friendship of love depends on emotion and aims at pleasure. This is why they fall in love and quickly fall out of love, changing often within a single day. But these people do wish to spend their days and lives together, for it is thus that they attain the purpose of their friendship. Perfect friendship is the friendship of men who are good, and alike in virtue. For these wish well alike to each other qua good, and they are good themselves. Now those who wish well to their friends for their sake are most truly friends, for they do this by reason of their own nature, and not incidentally. Therefore their friendship lasts as long as they are good, and goodness is an enduring thing. And each is good without qualification and to his friend, for the good are both good without qualification and useful to each other. So too they are pleasant, for the good are pleasant, both without qualification and to each other, since to each his own activities and others like them are pleasurable. And the actions of the good are the same or like. And such a friendship is, as might be expected, permanent, since there meet in it all the qualities that friends should have. For all friendship is for the sake of good, or of pleasure good, or pleasure either in the abstract or such as will be enjoyed by him who has the friendly feeling and is based on a certain resemblance. And to a friendship of good men, all the qualities we have named belong in virtue of the nature of the friends themselves. For in the case of this kind of friendship, the other qualities also are alike in both friends. And that which is good without qualification is also without qualification pleasant. And these are the most lovable qualities. Love and friendship, therefore, are found most and in their best form between such men. But it is natural that such friendships should be infrequent, for such men are rare. Further, such friendship requires time and familiarity. As the proverb says, men cannot know each other till they have eaten salt together. Nor can they admit each other to friendship or be friends till each has been found lovable and been trusted by each. Those who quickly show the marks of friendship to each other wish to be friends, but are not friends unless they both are lovable and know the fact. For a wish for friendship may rise quickly, but friendship does not.